September of 2017 was the 150th anniversary of the Chisholm Trail. Drovers and horses, wagons and horses, cooks, cowboys and cattle came together to, once again, ride on this historic trail. For 2 weeks, cowboys rose before dawn, ate breakfast by campfire light, saddled and mounted up, then rounded up the cattle to hit the trail. If you had lunch, you ate in the saddle. Bed was a pallet on the ground. Supper was cooked over a campfire. In these modern times, we celebrated life as it had been. Imagine a time when obtaining beef meant that the beef had to travel on foot for hundreds of miles. Cattle were rounded up in Texas, then moved north on the trail, from Texas through Indian Territory, which is now Oklahoma, then Kansas, to the railhead at Abilene. It wasn't an easy life. A 150 years ago, there were only a few trading posts along this trail that was laid out by Jesse Chisholm. Imagine being outdoors in the freezing cold or blistering heat with no shelter in sight. The only place you could find food was the chuck wagon. There were no cars back then, no highways, no hotels, no restaurants. The modern cattle drive made 8 to 10 miles a day. In the olden times, the cattle drive might make 5 miles a day, so the cattle could eat the grasses along the way and gain weight. On the modern trail ride, we tried to recreate the life of 150 years ago, but we had to contend with traffic, highway crossings, railroad crossings, fences, and modern civilization. Each evening, the cow camp was open to the public. People could come by to visit the cattle drive and learn about history. We spent our days in the saddle. We spent the late afternoons talking to the public, answering questions, and telling people about history. Nights were spent either in tents or sleeping under the stars. Then the next day, we'd get up and start over again. Why did we do it? Let's talk to the drovers.
Carmen Schultz, Medford, Oklahoma. I'm the trail boss for the Chisholm Trail Cattle Drive 150, 2017. This organization is to educate, commemorate, and celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Chisholm Trail. We're hoping to educate not only the younger generation, but also the middle generation and even some of the older generation of what this meant for our country and for our area compared to trains and computers and things like that. Probably started about a year ago, and got with a lot of the drovers that I've been on a cattle drive with before, and I started asking them if they would like to do this, and participation's been great. Oh, very well, very well. They've helped us out tremendously. From the beginning at Pond Creek to all the way to Wichita. The communities have been great. I'd like the people to know that this means a lot to everyone involved. I've had great help, my drovers, my cooks, my wagon drivers, support staff, my husband. But I want everybody to know that this is a heritage that is amazing. When I was a kid, I didn't study about the Chisholm Trail, and they study even less now.
Well, I lead the cattle and kind of let somebody know if there's wire on the ground or any holes. I got to know what route it is and just kind of lead. And the old lead steer kind of figures out that he needs to follow me. Well, it's all about the kids. I want to keep the history. Some of them don't get to experience this. That's what it's all about. Ooh. Ooh. Well, they just kind of they catch on after a while. They know that's time to go.
Oh, I was tickled that they had such a nice crowd here, and it's back to the heritage and back to the things that's not ever going to happen again. And the young people see this, and sometimes they'll think, maybe in another 50 years we need to do that, So maybe there'll be some learning done off of this. Hopefully so.
Joyce Clover, and I'm from Medford, and right now we're getting ready to set up camp, and the guys are unloading all the supplies, and we'll be putting up a fly and setting our cook box, and I'm the one that helps with all the food, getting it here, and helps them cook.
I would not be a good pioneer. This is hard work. It's been really fun, and it's just story, to be able to go up the Chisholm Trail and kind of relive it like it was done 150 years ago. It's been awesome. Well, it starts about 3 o'clock usually. We get up and add wood to the fire that's been kept going on all night by those on picket line watch, and get serious about it about 4 o'clock and try to have them fed. Try to have breakfast by 6, and then we tear down everything, load it back in the chuck wagon, and head to the next camp. Unload it, and do it again. Oh my gosh, we've had chicken fried steak, bacon, gravy, sausage, hash browns. We had spaghetti one night. That was really good. Cherry cobbler, peach cobbler, blueberry cobbler. Just good eating. That's a good question. There's been the number has fluctuated a little bit, but it's probably right at about 30. Sometimes it goes up if the landowners or some of the sponsors come out with us. I think one night when Medford was with us, that went up to about 75 or 80.
I'm Cowboy poet Sam Wiley, and this is The Code. There's an inherent code in this life we lead, one of respect and honor, we can all agree. The message quite simple, given by our Maker above. Do unto others as you'd have done to you, and spread Christ's love. If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not yours, don't take it. If it's not the truth, don't say it. It's been said before. Have faith in God, being the best friend you can be, are also some great traits to be sure. What sets us apart from the everyday grind that plagues so much of this land, when all that is asked is to lend a helping hand? Our unspoken code speaks to the courage and determination that led the way long ago, the will to push on, to live for truth, and there's still a line to toe. Our heritage continues to be threatened in this new age of technology and fast times. The simple things in life is where I choose to weave my rhymes. A gentle hello, a thank you, or even a smile, knowing you're doing His work while we're here for a while. The code begs us to be vigilant in the care of our own, the livestock, the land, and our families at home. We also help our neighbors when the opportunity does arise. No payment ever needed, a thank you will suffice. We're here on this rock to do the best we cowboys can, leaving a lasting legacy for generations to span. A legacy of loyalty, truth, and an American symbol of the West. We must protect the cowboy way and the heroes so many love best. So bow your heads, open doors, and lend a helping hand. Your reward, a mansion in heaven, for sticking to God's plan.
In the olden days, the drovers didn't have to contend with things like fences. The prairie was wide open. But in modern times, the route was mapped out in advance. So what happens when you come to a town? Do you go around it? No, you have a parade.
They told us to sit out. You can't get up. Yeah, you don't need to be ready because they're a little wayward. All right, let's follow you now.
make it fine for a time. They give up hours to make that dollar, 'cause it pays for his lifeline. But dealing with the concrete sea, where it's down to man's heart and soul, punching that time clock out and in, the city life takes a toll. It's a cowboy fly free across the native land. And cowboy fly free, riding for your chosen brand. And cowboy fly free across your fields of green. And cowboy fly free on the wings of lonesome dreams. Cowboy fly. Cowboy A cowboy needs his space. It's the way he lives, wild and free. Always alone, no one at home. That's the way it has to be. But on the day he finds the one, and it takes him by surprise, he's found the one who lived his life side by side, not compromised. So cowboy fly free across the native land. And cowboy fly free, riding for your chosen brand. And cowboy fly free across your fields of green. And cowboy fly free on the wing of answered dreams. Cowboy fly. Cowboy fly. Cowboy fly. Cowboy fly.
My name is Grant Moore. I'm from Hennessy, Oklahoma. I'm driving a hoodlum wagon. My job on the trail is to carry all the cowboy supplies, their knapsacks, any extra feed and any extra supplies they might need on this particular drive. My team is a pair of Belgian crosses. I have one gelding, one mare. It's designed to do exactly what we're doing right now, and it's designed to follow the cattle drive down the trail. Number of reasons. One, it's a lifelong dream, of course, but education. I'm concerned that history is being whitewashed, and I think it's being out here and actually living it and showing it to our younger generation, my children, that we can hopefully carry it on to the next generations to come.
husband is George Scott. I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma, and we're drovers. This is my first time to do this. My husband's done it before, and at first I thought, no, but I do ride a lot.
Well, it alternates between a swing rider, which is on the side, kind of a flank position, and a drag, which is bringing up the tail. Well, we woke up early morning, as we always do, and had breakfast, and got camp packed up and rounded up the cattle. Today was our day to head into Caldwell, so we paraded all the cattle and everything through town, and had a good turnout of people and kids and everything, which is great, because that's what this is all about, is trying to preserve the heritage and let them know kind of how it used to be. So it was good. We kept the cattle fairly straight.
Thanks for coming out today.
Well, that was a little puny, and I didn't think I could come, but my wife kept insisting for me to come and said she thought I'd get in shape, better shape physically. And so my son decided to come to help me, and he's been a lot of help to me. Tom, he's been a lot of help to me. Tom slept on the ground last night underneath the wagon. You want to get underneath something when you sleep out here. You want to get underneath a wagon, or don't get underneath a vehicle. Somebody might move a vehicle. But the only way probably going to move a wagon is if they move it by hand, they're going to see you. And if you move it with the horses, why, you'll know it. Well, the cooks get up about 3 o'clock, and they start doing around, getting the fire built and burning it down into coals and everything. And they do real good cooking, cook some real good meals. And then that's for breakfast. We don't eat lunch for dinner. We just keep it rolling and eat maybe some crackers or peanut butter crackers or banana or apples or oranges, something like that. And plenty of water. We take plenty of water with us. And but for supper, the cooks always cooks a real good meal. I mean, fried potatoes, steak, and beans, stuff that'll really stick with you. And as far as going to bed, I try to go to bed when the sun is just setting, because I can go down there and kind of wash my face and clean up a little bit, and I go to bed. But as far as getting up, we get up at about 6 every morning. We hear them ring that dinner bell, and we get up about 6 and get dressed and go down and eat breakfast. Then we sit in and harness the horses and brush them. While we eat breakfast, we feed the horses first. Let them eat while we're eating. And then we go down there and brush them. And you want to always brush your shoulders, because that's where a horse does most of his work, is on his shoulders, pushing that collar. And we brush your shoulders real well and take care of your horse. You want to take that's your mode of transportation. You sure want to take care of your horse, whether you're riding him or whether you're working him. Well, my wagon came from Montgomery, Indiana. It was for sale and was in a paper, and a friend of mine saw it in this trading paper and told me about it, and he and I drove up there and we bought that wagon 4 or 5 years ago, and I put it in the barn. And my team, I bought them in '04, and I've had them. They're getting a little age on them, but they still doing good. I watch them and water them. I guess the first horses I ever drove was Old Dutch and Nell, and that was my daddy, team my daddy had, and I drove them to a cart made of 2 wheels too.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Again.
How you guys doing? You bet.
takes well over a year to plan a cattle drive. You have to notify law enforcement and local officials of your route. You have to get clearance for highways, railroad crossings, fences, communities, and private property. You have to have a designated place to have your cow camp. When you get there, there needs to be a fence line to corral the cattle for the night. You need food and water for the cattle, the horses, and the cowboys. As much as we have tried to live this authentic Chisholm Trail lifestyle, we have had to make concessions for modern conveniences and safety. Porta potties are set up on each campsite. A watering trough is set up for the horses. There needs to be water on the land in some form for the cattle. There are support vehicles that go along to each campsite. Among these is a shower trailer and a trailer for food. There's a generator to keep the refrigerator and freezer going. You have to make sure you have enough food to feed everybody. After 2 weeks on the trail, 2 weeks without running water, your own bed, a television or a radio, 2 weeks without the hassle of your job, 2 weeks without seeing your family, 2 weeks of rising before dawn, lunch in the saddle, and making a bed on the hard ground, the cattle drive reached its destination. Texas cattle ranchers could not make enough money to live. Cattle would only sell for $4 a head in Texas, but in New York, cattle would sell for $40 a head. Jesse Chisholm had good relationships at the trading posts in what was then called Indian Territory. Stockyards were built in Abilene, Kansas, to take the cattle to the east. As more railroads were built, the end of the trail became Newton, Kansas, then Wichita, then Caldwell. The majority of the cowboys were young. Drovers might have been 13 or 14. The trail boss, the one with experience, might have been 17 or 18. Why did they leave home and take such a dangerous and lonely job? For the money. For many drovers, they'd spend all their wages in Abilene or Caldwell, then they'd be broke again. For us, it's about celebrating history. We rode the trail to learn about history. But once you are out there at a pace of life that goes by one horse hoof step at a time, what do you learn? You learn about people, about community. You see the joy on the faces of children who have just gotten close to a horse for the very first time. It's about seeing a family pull their car to the side of the road and watch in amazement as a cattle drive goes by. We learn to live with the land, to be stewards of this great earth. You see the stars and the vast skies at night, and you realize we are all one people. We all want the same things: happiness, joy, food to eat, friendship, love, hope, and acceptance. This ceremonial Chisholm Trail cattle drive taught us about our past, but for those who have had the unique experience of riding along this trail, we learned a profound lesson about our future.